pretty much everyone has wondered at one point or another whether they would have been different if things had been different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you'd been born somewhere else, if you'd been raised by different people, if you'd had a different life, would you be a completely different person?
Well, it's the whole nature versus nurture debate.
Sure.
And in his series Clone, writer David Schulner seems to come right into the nurture side of the argument.
Yeah, well, honestly, I don't know if that was his aim
No.
when he was writing this, but I agree. That's what comes across, and it is one of the factors that really makes this comic stand out to me.
It does. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
Clone tells the story of Luke Taylor, an unassuming guy, regular guy, an
Yeah.
expectant father, who is about to kind of have a crash course on nature versus nurture when he comes face to face with an exact copy of himself in his kitchen, bleeding out from a gunshot wound.
Yeah, and then of course the copy admits that his name is Foster.
Foss.
And he clearly has a completely different personality from Luke.
Yeah, Foss is funny.
I was hooked at that moment, you know?
Yeah.
I immediately, I was like, okay, I want to know more. Then we find out that there's another copy whose name is Patrick, who's about to kidnap Luke's pregnant wife, Amelia.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot going on in this first issue within the first kind of couple of pages of it. And it's brilliant because it pulls you off balance and it makes you kind of go, what? You feel like Luke,
Well,
really.
yeah, there's the number of questions that start flying around in your head. I mean, why does Patrick want Amelia? Does it have something to do with the baby? How many clones are there anyway? Is Luke the original, or is he just another clone? And probably the most important question, what the hell is going on?
Now, Al, I know that you love information being withheld from you
Yes, I do.
in comics and kind of being drip-fed, so you must have really loved this.
Well, the funny thing is, it wasn't until I'd had a bit of time to think about it that I really started appreciating it. I mean, honestly, I had to come back and have another read, and that's when I started really loving it. This comic's definitely a grower.
Interesting, because, I mean, I was hooked within the first couple of pages. I loved it.
Right, well, maybe I'm just dim then.
Maybe.
You know what? Maybe you should just talk about the art.
Yeah, maybe I will. Now, the art is done by Juan Jose Rip, and he does such a beautiful job with these regular people.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a bit unimpressive, but it's really honest and truthful characters that are in here. That they all have their flaws, they all look normal,
They look
which
like
is
real
great.
people, yeah.
But he also has this dab hand with the macabre.
Well, yeah, and anybody who's familiar with Rip's work will probably agree with me on this one, that he's the guy you go to if you want somebody who can draw a really good gut wound. Or, you know, a hallway covered in blood. He really knows what he's doing there. But also, his backgrounds are also impressively detailed.
Yeah,
I
there
thought.
is a lot going on in the backgrounds that I didn't see the first time around. It was a couple of
There
times
you
flicking
go,
through. It's like,
second
there you
read,
go.
this is what I'm
I still
saying.
liked it straight away.
Yeah.
If I have one tiny little criticism, it's that sometimes I feel that the colour palette is a little inconsistent.
Yeah, look, I think Felix Serrano may have made a couple of missteps there. I don't have a problem with the overall colour
No,
palette
it's
at
really
all.
lovely.
No, I think it's well
Yeah.
chosen. But there are some inconsistencies, as you say, even mid-scene.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was a conscious decision on Serrano's
Well,
part.
if
or...
it is, I don't think it lands.
Yeah, when the temperature of the tone kind of drops mid-scene and nothing's kind of indicated that, you know, someone's turned a light on or the
No.
clouds kind of moved across the sun, it's a little bit jarring and it kind of pulls you away from what's going on.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's such a tiny criticism against the
It
rest
is,
of this
yeah.
book.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I think this ticks all the boxes you want ticked for a first issue, you know?
Yeah.
And that's even more impressive when you consider this is Schulner's first attempt at a comic.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's pretty impressive in by itself.
Yeah.
So this one is definitely a buy for me.
Yeah, it is quite an impressive debut. Like, I was amazed when I read in the back that this was his first comic book. It's a very intriguing, action-packed, and heavily layered story.
Yeah.
And honestly, if the series continues with the strength that issue number 1 has, I will put up my hand and I will say that I think there's another hit series here. Like, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a buy from me as well.
Oh, you're putting up your hand?
I'm putting up my hand.
I'll get Image on the phone.
Okay.
You can let them know.
I'll let them know.